What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Cash Talks Experience. I am here with my special guest, Mr. Kevin Flynn, y'all. Let's give it up for Mr. Kevin Flynn. You know, Kevin, if you give me an opportunity for a moment, I do have to say happy Women's History Month. I want to say happy Women's History Month to all of the ladies, for doing your thing, being resilient and all of those things. So happy Month, Women's History Month out there. I had to say that because this is the month to represent. So thank you for allowing the opportunity. But I want to turn it back over to you, Mr. Kevin Flynn, the founder of Little House Films, director, writer, okay, producer, all of those things, right? Thank you so much for being on the show. I
Yes, ma'am.
appreciate you. Yes, it's a pleasure
Thank
to
you for
have you.
inviting me.
So I'm gonna start off by asking you a few questions
Okay.
because, well, first of all, I have to let everybody know how we met because, my cousin had told me, he was like, come down here for this, I want you to be an extra in this show. It's my man Kevin Flynn down here, and I'm like, I'm on my way. I said, what am I supposed to do? He's like, you got to get dressed to impress and get on down here. And what did I do? I did it. Okay. I went down there and came down, and I was an extra in your show, your movie.
It was Loser.
Yes, it was, which was amazing.
Now,
So
you started as an extra
I did.
and turned out to get the whole role.
That's right.
Well, it was
which
a
got
small
me.
part, but
It was, but I mean, I have to say this, that you got me started in acting, and with just that opportunity, it has now taken me to a whole nother level. And so I appreciate you for that. I have to give you your flowers for that and let you know that I appreciate you for giving me that opportunity, for sure. So thank you
I
for that.
definitely appreciate that.
Yes,
I
thank
do.
you so much.
I do.
Yes.
Thank
All right, so we're gonna dive into some questions because you've been quiet for a minute, but you have always had some things going on. And I know that because I sit back and watch. Oh, what he got going on next? So what first inspired you to step into directing? So I want to start with that. What inspired you to first step into directing?
I couldn't find anybody to make my movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, my first movie, through the course of a day, I saw a post. A guy was saying, if you want to get a movie made, holler at me. I hollered at him. I never got a response, but the movie was burning.
Yeah.
And I just graduated school, and I couldn't find anybody to help me, so I just did it myself. And that was history.
History. I mean, you have Little House Films as well. So I mean, how did you get all of that started? Because you were directing, but you also started your business, Little House Films.
So actually, it's funny again, because at first it was called Immaculate Concepts.
Okay.
So when I was doing the auditions for through the course of a day, somebody came to my house and I said, "Welcome to my little house." And it
Okay.
stuck with me. And I was like, because my intention was to start making small films, but use different rooms of the house
Okay.
so I can make it look always like something different.
Hmm.
So that was kind of the idea, but that name stuck with me. And, it's a little house, humble beginnings. And one day my little house going to be a big house.
Yeah, absolutely. You're on your way. And you are always humble. Like you have always been, being around you, you have always like been humble with everything because we run into things, right?
Yes,
When you
ma'am,
when you when
absolutely.
you're trying to build your business for sure.
Absolutely.
So was there a defining moment when you realized storytelling was your calling? Because when you write films, you tell a story.
Yes, ma'am.
So when did you realize that?
Um, Actually, when I started rapping, so
You a rapper too?
that was one of my first loves.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, outside of like breakdancing, but as a child, I had an imagination.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I had imaginary friends. You know how people have an imaginary friend?
Yeah.
I had like an imaginary gang.
Okay.
Like I had a crew, and I had these stories, and it was my escape
Hmm.
from the life that I was living. And from there it just developed. I always just had characters in my head and thoughts and stories. So I can't say exactly where. I've just always had a love for it. I don't know where it came from, I know as a youngster, my stepfather, he managed the Northwest and the Mercury Theater. So we was always at the movies. I saw tons of movies I shouldn't have saw, movies that was okay for me to see. My mother was an actress, phenomenal woman. Played the piano, she could sing, just phenomenal. So, and she had a love for film too.
Okay.
So I believe that that's where it developed all through school. And then, to be an MC, you got to know how to tell stories and come up with stuff off the top of the head. So that's always been a 99 percentile when it comes to literature and English and writing. So, I've always had that gift. And I say that humbly. I'm not being arrogant about it. I've just always had that gift naturally.
Yeah. I mean, because you can say it naturally, right? Because your mom, you said she was an actress, so you were around that stuff, but
Yes,
but it was in you.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I mean? So it's that is humbling that you have that gift, right? A lot of people don't even realize that they have those gifts until later on in life. You started really young.
I didn't recognize it then. It wasn't until later that I said, you know what, you can really write. I never wanted to feel arrogant, like it's people I didn't want to feel arrogant. That's all.
Yeah.
But it was later on when I realized that, boy, you have a gift and you can go ahead and put it to use. My teachers told me and everyone. But I was one of them kids that I wasn't trying to hear that really.
Yeah. All right. I had to let you say that, get that off your chest, So what was one obstacle early in your career that almost made you quit? Has anything ever made you? Yeah. An obstacle.
Trying to get distribution. The rules are so tight now, as opposed to what it used to be. Some of the stuff I get flagged for and trouble for, it's like, I've seen this before. Why? It's really tough just trying to get distribution. Other than that, you deal with people. People are always peopling.
People are always peopling.
Sometimes that's enough.
Yeah, definitely. And with obstacles, it helps you grow.
Absolutely.
The one thing that I notice about everybody that I normally bring on the show is that going through those obstacles helps you move to the next level and keep going. And what I've always noticed is that leaders create leaders, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I just feel like those obstacles just help you keep going,
Absolutely.
Because I've been just watching you still keep going, even with those stops.
I've had some setbacks. And,
yeah.
Without setbacks, what do you have? You have to have the obstacle to grow. That is the truth.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So let's first of all, I want to just say I want you all to go like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button.
Hit the hype button,
hit
y'all.
that hype button for the Cash Talks Experience. You guys can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're everywhere. So go hit it, okay? And where can they find you, Kevin? I want you to let everybody know as well. Like, where can they find you?
On Kevin Flynn. Instagram under Little House Films.
Yes.
Twitter or X under Little House Films. I mean, Kev the filmmaker.
Yeah.
And Threads under Little House Films.
There you go.
And YouTube under Little House Films.
All right. Thank you for that. All right.
Yes, Little House Films with a Z. I apologize.
There you go. No, let them know because I want them to have the right spelling.
H-O-U-Z-E. Little H-O-U-Z-E Films.
Yeah, so they can get it right and follow you, okay? All right, so we'll dive back into this. So when did you start, when you start a new project, what comes first? The story, the character, or the message?
I would probably say it really depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes the story starts with somebody saying something.
Yeah.
Loser started with me coming home from jail. Just a circumstance. When I was in jail, I was